McCarthy is a Hunter business leader and innovator on a mission to revitalise the practice of law. After spending decades working in large national firms at management level, Marcus stepped out of traditional paths and set about redesigning the law firm from the ground up. The result is Nexus Law Group, an innovative and award-winning commercial practice which delivers better value to clients and the lawyers who serve them. Marcus believes that great leaders have a fundamental desire to do something better. Welcome, Marcus. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you, Holly.
I'd like to begin by getting some insight in how do you demonstrate leadership in a less traditional workplace like Nexus?
Well, I think demonstrating leadership is hard in any context. It's probably more important in a business like ours because we run a national geographically dispersed network of lawyers. And so you have to be more of a focal point in that kind of organisation than you do in others. So what we try to do at Nexus is just have more communication systems, more protocols, more systems, probably more so than a traditional law firm, so that we can actually communicate more effectively and draw together our team as teams. They all need to feel like they're part of a collective. And that is the real challenge in a business like ours. So we try really hard to pull it all together through protocols and systems and communication channels. And we leverage technology to do it, basically. So there's a lot of email communication, a lot of data rooms that we interact with. Our systems are based on cloud-based, matter-based interactions. So I think demonstrating leadership is the same in that organisation, you just do it in a different way.
How do you define the difference between a manager and a leader?
Well, I think it's hard to actually tell the difference between the two because really good manager, or being a good manager is a skill, and if you're a good manager and a good communicator, then you can often look like a leader. But I think leaders or people who are perceived as leaders have a fundamental underlying driver that is perhaps different, and they still have to be good managers, but I think the driver is that they have an underlying desire to change things for the better in whatever field it might be. It might be, politics or business or their personal life. But I think that really is the underlying characteristic of a leader compared to a manager. They've got a desire to do something better, and probably the bravery and the consistency that others don't have. So I think we are all managers in certain aspects of our life, but to actually step up beyond that is a really difficult thing to do, and to do it consistently and to put yourself apart from the crowd, which is what leaders really do.
So is there one mistake that you witness leaders making more frequently than others?
I think that's a really good question, and it's a hard question because I think leaders are just humans like the rest of us with the same set of human foibles that we all have. If I was to think about what is the one thing that they're more in danger of, I think a leader, because they set themselves apart, and if they achieve success in their chosen field, then they're often elevated and given accolades, and I think what comes with that is the possible inflation of ego and the mistakes that come with that. And we have seen leaders fall by the wayside because of ego-driven mistakes, and it's unfortunate. I think the great leaders are the ones that actually wash out that ego and really separate themselves from the position that they're in. Like a Nelson Mandela or someone like that, or Barack Obama. You don't see those sort of ego-driven mistakes, but we have seen it a lot in leaders.
What do you believe makes business in the Hunter unique?
Well, it's another interesting question. I'm actually from Sydney originally and moved up 25 years ago to marry a local girl, and I've never ever wanted to move back because when I came here I just felt like the town was a real microcosm of the rest of the world, and it really is interesting in a business sense because it's got really, really big business here. I think the rest of Australia doesn't realise how advanced Newcastle is, and in terms of green technology, heavy rail, port, mining, all of the things that you associate with bigger places. And so I was just attracted to the town because it was that microcosm of the universe. And what I also like about it, that I find unique, is this sort of local focus and desire amongst the people here to make it a better place. And that is seen in the business world that I deal with, I think. And So I think it's this sort of local focus but sort of international stance and professionalism about Newcastle that I really love.
And to finish, I'd just like to know, what local business person do you find inspiring?
That is a really hard question for me. I tend not to look to others for inspiration. I tend to focus on what I'm doing and how I can do it better. But there's a lot of people in business in the Hunter that I find really impressive, and probably not the people that usually are associated with that. But look, I have the privilege of working with a company called the Bloomfield Group, and they've got a very impressive board, run really well, a really great company that gives back to the community. So without mentioning names, I think the entire board there is a real impressive crew. Some other people are, I find even, I think that Kristen Keegan is a really good example of a leader in Hunter business, and what she's done for the Business Chamber I think is really impressive. There's probably some others, but I think, I'll leave it at that one.
That's fine. Thank you so much for your time today, Marcus.
Thank you, Holly.